But let's shift focus to another issue that hit the wires yesterday, the Fresenius Kabi issue, where SAT held, the Securities Appellate Tribunal, the Appellate Tribunal for SEBI, held that SEBI's orders for Fresenius Kabi did not hold, and Fresenius Kabi could go ahead and delist its shares. Just to give you a brief background, Fresenius Kabi initially did an offer for sale where they sold shares largely bought by 4 or 5 big investors, and that made it, according to some observers, easier for them to delist their shares. They did not have to go with the more difficult norms of delisting when you are at 90%, where you have to literally buy back 5% of your shares at whatever price the minority investor would ask. Bringing it down to closer to 80% made it easier for them to delist their shares. Complaints were received with SEBI, and SEBI therefore asked them to delist the shares as if that OFS did not exist. From the pre-OFS levels, Fresenius Kabi went to court, and went to SAT, and SAT upheld Fresenius Kabi's position. One person whom we have spoken to in the past and who has held that the Fresenius Kabi moves were smacking of collusion with people to whom they sold the shares is Mr. Gupta, founder and managing director of Stakeholders Empowerment Services, also a former executive director with SEBI. Mr. Gupta is with us in our studio. Mr. Gupta, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
What's your comment on SAT's observation? SAT seems to think that there is no evidence of collusion, there is only a fear or a complaint letter.
I think we have never said that there is a collusion. Collusion could be a secondary part. The first issue is this, that even without collusion, it is patently wrong. The reason which we had said, and we had brought out a report, is this, that OFS was allowed only for top 100 companies in the, as per the market cap, or only for those companies which are going for a increasing minimum public shareholding. So the objective behind OFS was to comply with the minimum shareholding norm of 25% of public shareholding. Now halfway through, if you have changed that plan, then what does one do? It is a similar situation if I was starting a hospital taking subsidy from the government, and halfway through I said, no, instead of hospital I will make a hotel. Now will I be returning the subsidy to the government or not? Here I had gone on a premise that I will be increasing the shareholding of public to 25%. Now what has happened? SEBI passed this order of A plus B together, because if SEBI was to pass an order, okay, you go back to first pre-OFS norm and then do for listing, there would not be any challenge, because SEBI would be right. What SEBI did, in order to cause least trouble to the company, was combine the two orders. That rather than buying back the shares from the market and go back to pre-OFS thing, you do delisting as per this. Now in my opinion, with this order, SEBI should take, because I feel that this is anti-investor, and I have seen the order in many places. I find observations of SAT are really anti-investor. And one instance will I say, they are saying that, yes, it says that the GMP need to deal with it. Once and such, the appellant will have little time on its hand to try and maintain investor relation. What do you mean? Are they operating one-person company where the person can either comply with the FDI guideline or maintain investor? They are running a corporate, a big corporate. And to me it appears to be a similar argument which Sahara took in Supreme Court, that our staff was on leave or summer vacation, and the justice had rightly observed that they were not running a kindergarten.
Now what can SEBI do?
SEBI can do two things. One is straight away approach Supreme Court or say, okay, we follow that there is no order. Now we issue a different order that you had gone on OFS route, which is not allowed. You cancel the OFS, you buy back those shares, no problem. Then you go for delisting. So SEBI can do either two things, Supreme Court or go back to pre-OFS station and then go for delisting.
The worry is that this Fresenius case will set a wrong precedence for many other companies and other such cases as well. Do you believe that that could be the issue?
I believe it is. See, I will tell you, as we said, that the collusion is a fiction of the mind.
Okay.
Similarly, the judges have observed, which I feel is very wrong in the sense that they have said at some place that the investors have bought this money, this shares for profit.
Okay, well, Mr. Gupta, the more important point is, do you think SEBI can examine and can start an investigation to prove collusion? Is that a fruitful area at all? And will SEBI take to it?
Collusion will never be proved. Because I tell you, in our report we have said that if I was a person who had taken allotment on OFS and I was to sell it, I am perfectly right because I am getting 60-70% return for my investors. I am taking a prudent financial decision. So if somebody is going to go on the way of examining collusion and something, it is wrong, it is not possible because nobody will be able to get into your mind that what was your mind. And there will be no documentary proof, it will be there. So collusion is not the thing. The right thing is this, pass an order so that you had gone on OFS, which is not allowed as per this circular, it is within the law. SAT has said that probably they have changed the law. The law has not been changed. It is only an interpretation of A plus B together. Separate A and B together and go ahead, no problem. It will more disadvantage for the company.
All right, Mr. Gupta, we are run out of time on this show. Thank you very much for joining us. It remains to be seen, of course, what course SEBI takes, whether it takes the course that Mr. Gupta says, that it asks them to buy back the shares that they sold in the OFS, or whether it proceeds with its investigation. For the moment,